Have you seen the headlines? U.S. lawmakers rebuked for waving Ukraine flags as aid bill is passed. Representatives celebrate and wave Ukrainian flags after U.S. Congress passes aid bill. $61 billion going to Ukraine, and that's great. Friends, I love Ukraine. I have two children who I've personally adopted with my wife from Ukraine. I've been there multiple times and spent months there. We have many dear friends there. We love that country, the people, as well as the geography and what Ukraine stands for. One of the most moving spectacles I've ever seen is the statue of Holodomor, which means the famine, and it refers to the Russian occupation 100 years ago that led to famine in Ukraine, where millions of people died of starvation. And this statue of this little girl with her haunting eyes is haunting and amazing. I remember standing there in Kiev, staring at her statue for what felt like hours. It's gripping. I love that nation. I also love this nation, the United States, and it's why I've continued Flagkeepers that my father started. We are all about preserving the United States flag and encouraging people not to display tattered or worn or faded flags, which is not in keeping with the United States flag code. We do this because we love our nation, and I feel like we're losing this nation. Did you see the headline the other day of the school game, the school soccer game that was canceled in New York? You imagine what these kids felt like? These kids who have practiced, who joined the team, who many of them had to work hard in order to get on the team. They get on the team, they go to the park to play a scheduled high school game, and there's a group of about 30 immigrants playing on the field. They won't leave for the high school game that the field was reserved for. They didn't even have to leave. They just couldn't be on the field. It was a scheduled game. Even the police were called, and yet the immigrants basically said, F you, we're not leaving. And so the police left, and so did the high schoolers who were planning to play. How is it that tax-paying citizens aren't even able to use the public parks that their tax dollars pay for because of people who are here illegally are unwilling to share? You know, I ran a Spartan race with some friends this past Saturday in Boca Raton, Florida, and among all of the other sponsors, there was a booth set up by Homeland Security, or at least Customs and Border Patrol, and there were a few agents there who were recruiting. Can you imagine trying to recruit for Homeland Security right now, or Customs and Border Patrol? We were talking with these agents, and they told us that there were more than 3 million encounters with illegal immigrants at the U.S. border last year. 3 million. They also told us that they no longer turn people away. They just give them a court date and let them into the country to roam about. And it's not until they miss their court date that a warrant is even issued, should they miss their court date. I'm sure some of them go. And what was most astounding about that is that in some parts of Texas, where the border is particularly overrun, the court dates are 7, 8, 9, or even 10 years out. Can you imagine, as a U.S. citizen, going to Mexico or Canada or any European nation and staying for 7 years and using the public facilities and not leaving when the police told you to leave? What was most astounding to me about the U.S. representatives waving Ukrainian flags at the U.S. House of Congress was that these House representatives are supposed to be representing us. And the vast majority of Americans don't want billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars sent to Ukraine or anywhere else in the world, because we just want our own country to be preserved. We're not going to maintain a position of leadership in the world if we don't get our own house in order. We are not going to continue being a beacon of hope that other nations' people want to flock to in order to make a better life for themselves if we don't preserve our own way of life. This is not about immigration. This is certainly not about Ukraine. This is about fiscal responsibility and the will of the people. Our representatives are supposed to represent us. That's what's supposed to make the United States so great. But they're not doing it. They don't love us. They don't respect us. They ignore us. They do what they want. And as many of us suspect, and many of us have even seen proof, they are using Ukraine and others as a giant money laundering operation to make themselves rich. They don't care about Ukraine either. It's just a show. How long can it go on? I don't know. But I hope that you are praying with me that God would intervene. I hope that you are doing your part to ensure a safe election, a fair election, and also praying like crazy that God would move and save this nation. Because, friends, we are on the brink of not coming back. May God bless you, and may God bless the United States of America.